Hey everyone! So it is time for the November garden tour. So it's early November right now, and even though I'm in a very chunky sweater, it is actually warmer now than it was when I filmed the October tour in early October. I think we're in the 60s right now. We still have a few days of 60s on the forecast, so it's just been incredible lately. I think October we started off really cold and then it got much warmer than expected. It's still much warmer now into November, but I'm sure things are going to cool off pretty quickly. The garden right now, it's emptier than it was, but there's still quite a bit that's growing and adding color to the garden. So let me go ahead and I will take you around and show you what the garden looks like for November. Starting off here in the front, actually right in front of my largest raised bed, are these 4 pots which are filled with tulip bulbs. So these are going to be stored in the greenhouse on the back deck for the winter, but since it's still nice outside, this is where they're living for now. And then on the left side right here, I think this is empty except for a few little sprouts in there, and then this is a hydrangea that is also going to be overwintered in the back deck. So in the raised bed itself, I've actually moved stuff on top of it. So inside of the bed is even more tulip bulbs. My favorite combination that I saw, which is a bunch of like pink and mauve colored tulips. So I'm really excited to see these sprout. But obviously when you put tulips in a raised bed, it looks empty on top, which I was realizing. And since this is what I see looking through the window from the house, I just wanted to be able to see more of my plants. And all of these containers still look really beautiful. So I moved them off of the flower cart, which I'll show you in a second, because the flower cart is on the side of the house. I can't see it from inside. I'm inside more often than I typically am nowadays, so that's why I moved them out. So here what we have are pots of pansies. So each of these pots has one color pansy. They've just done really beautifully as I've been deadheading them to press. Or harvesting them to press, because they still look pretty good when I cut them. They've just bloomed so much more prolifically. I never knew, although I should know, that that happened, so they've just looked really great. Here's one that's looking a little sad, so I'm just going to take that off. So I have my like maroony color ones here, the kind of periwinkle blue. This pot actually has a combination, so some yellow and orange, and I think there's one blue and red. They're just not blooming right now. And just some cabbages tucked in there in a pot. I have another cabbage here, and then a pot of the orange pansies. Now in the front here I have this alyssum, which I have grown, or I've been growing this one for a few months now. I think I planted it maybe in May. My first time growing alyssum, I didn't know it lasted this long, so that's been really fun. And I know it looks like it's in the bed, but it's just in a shallow pot that's trailing over. I love the look of this. So I have alyssum seeds, I think of the exact same variety. This one I got as starts. The seeds I'm planning to plant in a little crack on the sidewalk because they're supposedly easy to grow in not very like nutritious places. So I don't think a crack in a sidewalk has a lot of nutrients for plants, but they should be good. And then I think I'm going to get either more starts or just sow some in these raised beds because I really love the look of that trailing over. Now behind this row of plants, I just put my 2 miniature blueberries and my strawberry plants up on top just for some more added color. So now, when I look out the window, that is what I see. Sorry, the sun's glaring a little bit in the afternoon light, but that's just a lot happier to look at than an empty raised bed. So I'm now in the back corner of this raised bed. So if I swivel around here, you'll see my shadow. Hello, oop, hello, and the house, so that's what I look out onto. And then over here is the flower cart. So this is where the majority of the plants I just showed you were sitting, and it looked great, but I can't see them from inside here. And like I said, since I'm not outside as much as I have been, I just emptied this off, and then I cleaned out my empty terracotta pots. Most of these were from my herb garden. Gave them a good rinse, and I eventually have to find somewhere inside to store them because they will definitely crack in our winters out here. But I actually don't mind the look of just this flower cart covered in empty pots. I still think it looks really nice. Now I'm actually gonna go this direction around the deck this time, mixing it up a little bit. So here's what is still left on this wall, which had all of my dahlias basically lined up on the ground along the wall. Now I just have other random plants here. So again, this is the side that gets the most sun. So I've been moving some more pots over here just to get more sun while they're outside during the shorter days. I have a grass here. I don't know the variety. I just picked it up just for some fall decor, but it's an annual, so I will pull that at some point soon. Over here I have these two mini hydrangeas that I got from the Grand Garden show. So this was part of like the gift bag that they gave to everybody at the end of the show. These I'm going to also overwinter in the greenhouse, although I'm considering maybe putting these in the garage just because they are so small, but we'll see. The garage would obviously be a little bit extra protection than I think the plastic greenhouse will be up here. But we'll see what I do with those. Then I have my aronia berry, which has lost the majority of its leaves already, and one of my two rhubarbs. So the leaves and stems already died back, so I trimmed those off. I planted these in 2020, and they've overwintered 2 winters out here. So next year, I'm really excited because I think next year is when I can start taking like the maximum amount that you're supposed to for the harvest. You're not supposed to harvest as much in year 1 or year 2. So that I am looking forward to for next year. So those are the pots over here. Let's swing around and take a look at this bed and what is in front of it. So these 2 terracotta pots had my gomphrena. They're empty. I need to clean them out and then bring them inside along with the rest of them on the flower cart. This is my other rhubarb plant. And then here are my snap peas. And they are growing up the sunflower stalks. So I had 9 single stem sunflowers. I basically cut off all the leaves and the main flower heads, tied them together to create trellises. And this is one of those things that I wasn't sure if it was gonna work, but it's worked out exactly how I hoped it would. So I'm really excited about it. My plan for next year is to, well, one, I'm gonna save these stalks, but also plant sunflowers in areas where I need trellis systems. And these peas, if I get in close here, they are the Royal Snap 2, and I got them from Johnny's Seed, and they're just really beautiful. This one's actually ready, so I'm gonna harvest that to eat for later, but I love how deep purple they are, especially in contrast with the green of the peas here. So now we'll swing around to my favorite bed right now. This one right here. So this is all of kind of my fall plants that I just got to plant, I think in October? I don't think it was end of September. I think it was in October when I planted this, and it's just filled in and looked really pretty and giving me a full raised bed this late into the season. So I have 2 cabbages on the end, a bunch of beautiful pansies here, just a sea of pansies. Really love that. The only thing that's not doing so well are the coneflowers. So I have some small blooms there, trying to avoid the sun casting too much glare, but the other ones haven't bloomed. So I don't know what is going on there, but the rest of the bed looks great, so I can't be too sad about it. But my plan for this bed, as far as like wintertime cleanup, is to not do anything. I'm gonna let everything in here sit all winter, and then we'll kind of see what happens next year. My plan for this bed is to put the native seed mix for like Midwest gardens, kind of the native plants. That's what this bed's gonna be. So I'm gonna leave like the coneflowers in there, see if they come back. I'm gonna see if any of these things reseed themselves. I mean, cabbage I'm gonna pull at some point, but I'll leave that for the winter. So yeah, I'm not gonna do much with this bed. Right in front, I have my salvia that I got also from the Grand Garden show. Now this, I wasn't sure, because it's an annual, I wasn't sure like how long it would last in my garden. The Grand Garden show was late August, early September, so I didn't know how much life I would get out of this, but it's still here 2 months later and still looks really beautiful. So I'm glad I was able to add that to my garden. All right, now to avoid the glare of the light, I think I'm going to go and start over on that side of the deck, just so the sun is shining behind us. Here's what we're looking like on this end. So we were just over there. First thing I have here is my raspberry bush. It started to lose some leaves, but not too many yet. This is its 3rd year in my garden. Then I have this blueberry bush, which all the leaves turn this beautiful color of red, and most of the leaves have also fallen off. So this one right here is a standard blueberry bush, like standard size, and then this one is a dwarf blueberry. And I love just seeing, I mean, even though they're both blueberries, obviously they're different varieties, but I love seeing the difference in the varieties. So this one, I mean, I don't think it's lost really any leaves yet. It's still a really beautiful green, whereas this one is almost completely bare and a really beautiful red. So that is always fun just to see those differences in the garden. And then behind the blueberry bush, I have this knockout rose, which has just done incredible. So I just got this summer, planted it up in the pot. I'm hoping I can fit it in the greenhouse to give it some more protection this winter because it's too heavy to carry down. I think the greenhouse is tall enough to fit it, but I've just had so many blooms. I can't even count the number of like flushes of blooms I've had on this rose, and you can see here there's still some more waiting to open. It's just been really fun, and it's not the most fragrant rose, but I have been taking, see if there's any spiders in here because I've grabbed a few spiders, but I have been taking the petals and just taking them off like that, letting them dry, and then using them as like confetti or table decorations, anything like that. So I'm going to save these and then we'll get back to the tour. All right, now coming up behind is this raised bed here, which had my gomphrena in it. It is cleared of gomphrena, looks empty, but it also has tulip bulbs in it. So I have tulip bulbs in here, tulip bulbs in here, and then the 4 pots in the front. And I think those are all the bulbs I'm going to be planting this fall. Then I guess the last thing are my 2 30-gallon grow bags of zinnias. So I have the giant dahlia zinnias here, giant Benary here. Again, I can't tell the difference looking at them between the 2 varieties. I have seeds still for both of them, so I'm going to be growing them next year as well. But coming up here, they are still blooming, which is why I haven't pulled them yet. So there's like buds here. This one just opened up. They still look really pretty. I mean, the blooms aren't as large as they have been. They're not opening up as quickly as they did. These actually I can probably deadhead, but there's still some color, so I'm gonna keep them as they are. Also, for it being like, you know, end of the season, November, I mean, yes, there is brown leaves at the bottom, but I didn't have any issues this year with like powdery mildew or any sort of pest or disease. So these have been really great this year. This is one last sweep of the front garden before we hop into the back garden. We are on the back deck now, and first up I have 2 grow bags. These I already pulled the beets from. These I started the beet seedlings just kind of because I had extra, and I think I started them way too late for them to be ready to harvest this year, but there we have it. I do, however, have 2 containers filled with carrots, and these actually had swallowtail caterpillars on them, and this one had almost all the leaves eaten off of it. So now just seeing them flushed back, it's really nice to see how they rebound. But there's some carrots I've already harvested. I'll harvest the rest of these in the next few weeks for sure. But it's been really great. This is my first time growing carrots in containers, and it was one of those vegetables that I didn't expect it to taste much different than it would from the store, but they definitely have more flavor and were even a bit like sweeter growing them myself than having them store-bought. So that's what's growing over here. Then we have this hydrangea, which definitely got some powdery mildew. I'm going to overwinter it out here. Hopefully it's healthier next year. We have Ferris over here and just some bags that I need to empty out. Over here we have my 2 mini knockout roses that I've also just really enjoyed having. Always had a bunch of blooms on them, overwintering them up here, seeing how they do. I have some lavender marinating here in oil for one, vodka for another for a room spray. I'm going to take these inside. I was just giving them some sun. I have some mess from repotting. And then I have my 1 dahlia tuber I'm going to test overwintering in the greenhouse, which is right there, and another hydrangea that I'm going to overwinter here. I think that, oh no, wait, we have my one raspberry plant back here, and again that is the propagation of the original plant. And then behind the bench, all of the containers I need to empty out. So a bunch of soil in them, no plants, and then this whole box is full of soil with water on top. So, you know, just hide the less appealing parts of your garden behind your furniture. So that is everything for the November garden tour. I don't know if I'm going to do one in December, although there is enough in the garden still in November that it will look different December 1st, but we'll kind of see if I do one or not, because I'm assuming the garden will be mostly empty. I also won't do one January or February. Again, no real changes in the garden there, but probably starting in March of next year, I'll start doing the garden tours again. Let me see what else. I will post down the playlist below of the previous monthly garden tours for this year, as well as the playlist for 2021, just in case you want to see some differences from last year to this year. And I think that's going to be everything. So I don't know, it's just been a really great garden season. I feel like every year the garden just gets better and better, which I guess is what you hope for, although fingers crossed now I haven't jinxed myself for next year. But yeah, it's just been a really great year, even though things are winding down. I'm not looking forward to the cold weather, which is why I'm enjoying the nice weather right now, but I know that I'm going to do even more next year, and I'm excited and looking forward to it. So thank you so much for joining me for today's tour, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.